our first look at the demo application that we're going to be testing in this course. This is the course repository, and that has two important things on it. One is it has our starting code. So this is where you can go and get the starting point for the application that we're going to be testing. The next thing it has that's important is it has a README document that can tell you whether or not the course is completely up to date. Testing is one of those topics that doesn't matter if you're using the latest version so long as the principles that you learn and the techniques that you learn are still applicable to the latest version of Angular. So I expect this course to stay up to date for a relatively long time, but if there's ever anything that is out of date, the README will tell you what is out of date and talk about workarounds for it. It would be a good idea to take a quick look at this repository right now. You can check out the current status of the course, but don't worry about cloning it and installing it yet. We'll actually do that together later on. This demo is actually based on the Tour of Heroes. I took a snapshot of the Tour of Heroes at the time that I was preparing this course. I did modify it a little bit. I had to add a few things so that we have exactly the kinds of stuff that we want to test. So it's a little bit different than the basic Tour of Heroes, but the modifications are fairly small. And finally, a note, don't worry about the package versions. Again, the important part is that the techniques and tactics that we learn are going to be useful with the current version of Angular. Whether or not we're actually using a slightly older version of Angular is unimportant, just so long as what we learn is applicable to what is latest. Now let's jump over and take a look at our running application. This is the application we're going to be testing. It's an application that deals with superheroes. You've got a dashboard here which shows your top 4 heroes. You can see the list of heroes on this page. You can click in and see the details on a specific hero. It's a very basic application, and in this course we really won't be worried about the application running. We're not modifying the application, adding new features to it, so running the application is not going to be important. What is going to be important is the tests that we'll write. So for the most part, we're not going to be looking at the application running in a browser. Now let's head over to our code and look at the code for the Tour of Heroes application. This is a basic CLI application. Everything that we're going to be dealing with for the most part is here inside of the app directory. We have your typical stuff. We have an app module that we'll look at a couple of times. And then we've got a whole bunch of components that are inside of each of these folders. We've got our dashboard component. It's HTML and CSS files. Same thing for the hero component, hero detail, etc. On down to this messages component. Finally, we have a strength pipe. And then farther on down here, we have our services, the hero service, the in-memory data service, and the message service. And that's our application. Again, this is a fairly straightforward application. We're just going to be adding tests for each of these pieces.